Hey everybody, it's your Uncle Bear, and it's amazing. I have a birthday coming up later this month, and I literally had tears brought to my eyes from just a song today. Um, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. By the way, I don't cry. I am from the pack that shit down until you eventually explode in front of a total stranger. That's the generation I'm from. But uh, but yeah, it was a song called "We're All Alone" by Rita Coolidge, and it immediately brought me back to my 11th birthday, June of 1977, and I got a General Electric clock radio, AM/FM clock radio, and it wasn't digital like the ones now. It had the numbers that flipped like little signs inside. That changed the numbers, and it was like a rite of passage back then. It was like, wow, I got a clock radio with an alarm on it. I guess I got to get a job to have the alarm wake me up for my job. And sure as shit, about a year later, I was out shoveling sidewalks and mowing lawns and babysitting. Anything I could do to make a buck, substituting on paper routes, that kind of thing. But that song must have been on the radio at that time. I'm pretty sure it probably was. But and of course Rita Coolidge, man, she has the most sultry voice. She could sing me to sleep every night. She was just, man, especially on that song. It's just like just close your eyes and listen to that song, and she just put you to sleep. Her and Karen Carpenter, man, they could just take turns singing me to sleep every night. That would be awesome. But yeah, and I got it brought me to today, my grandkids, right? Not so much my kids, but my grandkids, and I think, it's kind of like somebody said not too long ago about this AI stuff. They said, of course we can do certain things, but should we? And it really brings to heart a lot of questions, including, like when our grandkids were growing up, they spent a lot of time. They all got phones. They all play video games, virtual reality. It's just everything in front of a screen of some sort. And when I was a kid, of course, we only had, until I was probably 13 or 14 years old. We had three channels, three network channels, and then PBS, so 4 channels total. And at midnight they were off the air. The Star Spangled Banner would come on, then you'd see that colored thing on, the different color, the rainbow or whatever they put on at the end. Or at one point they had like an evacuation out of the city or something like that on there. But yeah, like I say, they shut off the TV stations, the networks. They all shut off at midnight, and you went to bed. That's just what you did. And like I say, I got this clock radio when I was 11 years old. And then I would go ride my bicycle. I had a 26-inch bike. It wasn't a 10-speed or 3-speed or anything. It was just a bigger bike, than my younger ones. But I would ride that bicycle up and down. We had a long alley behind a row of mobile homes. And I would ride that bicycle up and down the alley playing truck driver. And then I would come back to our mobile home, and I'd hook the handlebar behind the railing on our little porch. It wasn't really a deck or anything like that. It was just the landing steps and the landing to the door. And I would hook my handlebar on that, and that was my loading dock. I'd load and unload there, and then head back down the alley, playing truck driver. And I'd do that all afternoon. I would do that until, when I wasn't at baseball practice or swimming lessons or tennis lessons. I mean, I did all that, when I was a kid. And I was from the land of misfit toys. I never did fit in anywhere. This is why trucking was always the perfect job for me, because I tried when I was in grade school. I fit in with the nerds. I tried flag football and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I did play baseball, but I was in an accelerated reading program when I was in grade school, and I did really well in school, in grade school. And then when I got to junior high, I still hung around the popular kids and the nerds a little bit, but then I was kind of hanging out with the hoods too. And then eventually I just started hanging out with the hoods and stuck with that. But even at that, the guy said there's only one guy that I still really have anything to do with, from my high school days, as far as hanging out with him. He was my best friend at 13 years old, and he's my best friend today. And, me, my wife, my kids, my grandkids, we can, any of us can call him day or night, and he'll be there, guaranteed. And I've told him all that. If shit rolls down, he'll call Dan. He'll know what to do, and vice versa. His kids and grandkids know to call me. So, but that being said, like I say, there's some of the guys that I hung out with that I thought I was tight with. They quit answering phone calls. They quit answering texts. So I just fuck them, But anyway, I look at my childhood. I guess the message. This is how my mind works, man. 450 miles an hour all the time, and I'll just go off on a tangent. But I look at the childhood I had, and then I look at the childhood my grandkids have, and I can't get that out of my head, Yes, we could, but should we? Are we cheating, or is the younger generation cheating their kids by just handing them off to technology and letting them play on the phone, play on the computer, play on the on their Xbox or whatever the game. I can't keep track of the game systems, guys, and I honestly wouldn't have a clue how to use them. I used to hang out in the arcade when I was a teenager too, and I still got a high score on Galaga to this day, I guarantee it. But I had to earn money to go play those games, My parents didn't mind me going to the arcade and playing video games, but I better go shovel some sidewalks or go mow some lawns or do something, because they're not paying for that shit. They did help me out with roller skating a few times, back in high school. That's another thing, roller skating, and I'm still a firm believer that physical education should still be mandatory. Everybody's screaming from the rooftops how, obesity is a problem amongst our kids. Well, fucking make them exercise. If you fucking if you would have told me, when I was in 7th grade, hey, you know what? You don't have to take gym class, but it's available to you. I was a fat little bastard. Fuck no, I'm not signing up for physical education class if I don't have to. But if you're gonna make me, I guess I will. I gotta pass school somehow, and if it's mandatory, it's mandatory. So yeah, I think that should be mandatory. That should be part of RFK Jr.'s Make America Healthy Again. Get the kids back in gym class. Get them some exercise. Have track and field day at the end of the year, just like we did. Have all that stuff, and take those participation trophies and stick them up their asses. I'm sorry. Participating isn't an automatic win. Teach kids how to lose with grace as well as how to win with grace. Everybody can't be a winner, and it'll prepare them for life, because you can go out for a job interview and have all the exact same qualifications as the next guy, the same experience level, the same success level, everything, and that person still gets the job over you, and it could be something over, maybe the interviewer's child has the same name as your child or you, or maybe he just likes the other guy's smile. Who the hell knows? But it just could be a personality thing. Who knows? But you know what? There's always going to be a winner and a loser. And life is full of disappointments. Prepare them for disappointments. And let the coach holler at them. That's going to prepare them for the job, for their job in later life too. I remember my dad telling me that his boss came in, and some files in another office. There was something wrong with these files or something, and the boss, the owner of the company came, and my dad was the plant manager, and the owner of the company came looking for something in those files, and he couldn't find it, and he just ripped my dad a new asshole, and my dad said, "Hell, this isn't even my office." He said, "How the hell do I know?" And his boss turned around and said, he says, "Even God needs a good ass chewing once in a while." But that's the way bosses think sometimes too. So everybody needs to be prepared that might happen someday. Anyway, that's all I got on this subject. Something to think about, food for thought, if you will. Anyway, I am down here in Belleville, Kansas. Just gonna hang out here for the night. It's the last truck stop with showers and decent coffee before I get to my delivery Monday morning up in Nebraska. So I am just gonna camp out here till tomorrow morning, and then get up and go to fill my thermos here. Get up so I have my morning coffee Monday morning, and then head up to my delivery. And hopefully there's a place for me to park overnight. If not, there's a little fuel stop up there, and I'll just park there. So be safe out there, everybody. If you like these videos, like them, share them with all your friends, and of course subscribe. Be safe.